Alrighty guys, so we're out here getting our walk done. It's a nice 69 degrees. Nice. And humidity, not too bad. I didn't look at it, but it's probably mid 60%. And it is overcast, so it is beautiful out right now. So, getting our walk done. We gotta go home, mow the lawns today. So it's been 4 days since we mowed, so we gotta get it done again. Otherwise, it just gets way too long, way too fast. So then it starts making a lawnmower plug up and just a big hassle. We don't want that. So we'll get that done. That'll take up a little bit of time. And then we'll go in, we'll edit today's YouTube video, that thing processed and posted, which is yesterday's chest day. And man, oh man, I tell you what, I might have failed on my rep goal of 3x5, but 3x3 at 255, and then the rest of the volume work tore me up. My chest is sore, but it feels great. And it is a little bit breezy out, but that ain't nothing new for here. It's normally a little windy, but no big deal. So, yesterday being chest, that means today is shoulders. So, we'll be able to take it a little, it's not a little lighter per se, but it's definitely not as heavy as a day, obviously. Those compound lifts don't exist in massive weight on, excuse me, on shoulder day, unless I was doing overhead press. But I don't really have those programmed in. I'm not trying to build a lot of per se front delt strength at the moment. And the lateral heads are way behind the front delts. So I don't think overhead presses at the moment are most effective when I can say replace them with an upright row, which is going to be a lot more side delt focused per se, especially when we're trying to build more rear delt and more side delt, because I'm currently happy with the proportion of my front delts, but I do want more of that rounder look when looking at me from the side and from the front. So, and it also adds a little bit of width to the shoulders and upper body when you're being looked at from the front and back, which gives you a larger appearance of a V-taper. So, just makes it more aesthetic overall. But, so, we're working on that. And then, we got some studying to do. Yesterday we finished up our first chapter, started our second chapter. So, making a little bit of progress on that. I do think I need to put a little more focus into that. But I think right now I'm moving along at an okay pace. So I'll evaluate it here after next week. Since this first week here I've just kind of piddled around with it really. So we'll see how much studying I get in from now till next Thursday, and look at that as an overall 2 weeks and see where I am pace-wise, according to what their schedule says, you know, you should kind of try to follow. So, but with that, I'm going to go ahead and get off and go get ready to eat my first meal real fast and get ready to mow the lawn. Alright, so out here to get shoulders done. We're going to start with our dumbbell rear flies and get our 3 rear delt movements knocked out, since that's our biggest focus at the movement. But I did my first set, 15-pound dumbbells just to warm up. Now we're going to go into our 3 working sets for 12 reps each. 25-pound dumbbells for these right now. So let's go ahead and get these guys going here. Oh. Whew. Man, oh man. That feels adequately heavy. Not so much to where I can't finish 12. Definitely around rep 9, it's getting difficult. And man, my dog is so annoying sometimes, I tell you what. If she's inside, barks at nothing, ever. The second she goes outside, and I'm in the shed, she barks at the shed because I'm in here. Even though she could just go back inside with my mom or stepdad, and she'd be perfectly fine. But because she's in the backyard and I'm in the gym, she has to lose her stuff. It's crazy. But either way, no big deal. Eventually she'll get bored. But anyone else's dog do something like that? Where they're perfectly quiet inside the house, but the second they go outside, they just feel like they have to bark at everything? So, and then like what's funny is when people walk by or other dogs go by and they're being walked, because we have a wooden fence with all the slats are butted tight so you can't really see through it, she'll bark at everything. Which is kind of new. She never used to do that for the first few years I was out here, but the last like 2 years, she does it. And what's funny is if she's in the front yard, she won't do it because she can just see them and they can see her, but she wants to go over and go play with everything. And I think she's doing it because she wants everything to come over the fence and come give her attention. She just wants everything to be her friend and to play all the time. But because the fence is blocked off, she has to bark to do it. So it's like, man, like, you're so silly, dog. But either way, I'm gonna get my next 2 sets of these knocked out, then we'll go ahead and move on. We're done with dumbbell rear flies. Now we gotta move on to rear cable flies. So with these, we gotta shoot for 3 sets of 15, and these are at 20 pounds. So, ugh. boy, those are a killer. You're really trying to get those river delts to blow up and really feel a big pump in them. You cannot beat a rear cable fly. Especially if you're starting out just about like eye height and finishing the pull down here with a palms down grip. It really gets a big contraction. So if you haven't tried them, give them a try on your next shoulder day or whenever you have your rear delts kind of programmed in. So I've got 2 more sets of those. I'll get those knocked out. Then we'll go ahead and move on to our third rear delt movement, which is going to be face pulls. And then I'll bring you guys back for those. All right, so finished up cable rear flies. Now it's time to go ahead and move on. It's face pulls, 70 pounds, 3 sets of 15 is what we got to hit on these. So let's go ahead and get these guys going. It's probably going to feel pretty heavy. My rear delts are already feeling kind of cooked. But so, the pump and the rear delts is atrocious at the moment. It feels crazy. May not look super crazy yet, but definitely here in a few more weeks, we're gonna start looking pretty crazy. It's gonna be great, especially for us. We're gonna here real shortly be getting into a level of lean that I haven't been in over 10 years. So I'm starting to get real excited for that. Our weight's coming down a little bit. We're getting a little bit bigger. We're filling out. We're getting some more definition. So overall, we're on progress. Our consistency up there. That's what's paying off, is the fact that we're super consistent. This is day 99. We've taken 1 rest day on day 91, sorry. And then we had a deload week, well, 5 days of deload for day 92 to 97. So let me take that back. Day 90, I did take a rest day. 91 to 96 was our deload. 97 was legs again. 98 was yesterday for chest. Today, 99 for shoulders. And we are back to it. We are crushing it, just like your mom. But besides that, the staying to it and staying to a program is what's going to get you to your goals overall. It might take you a little longer. It may take you a little short time, but it doesn't matter. As long as you're showing up and you're working towards it consistently and you're not missing days, you're not half-assing it, and you're putting that effort in, you will make progress. It's that simple. So your diet is going to be your biggest factor to whether or not you're losing weight or gaining weight. But if you're showing up to the gym every single day, or at least 3 times a week, and you're putting it in hard work and you're working to your level of failure and your level of maximum fatigue at whatever weights and however many movements and sets that requires, you will get stronger. You will get bigger, per se, depending upon your diet. So, but at the bare minimum, you're going to get bigger and you are going to start losing some weight. Now, how much weight, that's going to depend on diet and if you're staying to that. But just consistency overall of working out, getting some steps in, and then on your diet, just being like, oh, you know what? Instead of having that candy bar every night, I'm going to just stop having that one candy bar. And then in a couple weeks, you're like, oh, I don't miss that candy bar so much anymore. let me go ahead and stop drinking this Red Bull or this can of soda at night or at lunch with this meal and have some water instead, or some tea that's not sweet tea, so that way it's 0 or low calorie. You know, reduce the amount of calories you're having here and there, or go to a 0 calorie soda if that's your thing. I'm not a big fan of them. They kind of taste like crap. But by doing that, you're slowly going to start bringing your total calories in the day down, and you're going to start losing weight, especially with adding exercise in to help create your deficit. So that's how progress is made, just little baby steps that you consistently can do. If you make big changes, you can't stay to them. It's hard. Willpower fucking sucks, especially if you're fat or you're overweight and you have bad health habits, I should say. It's rough. It's hard. I go through it. I have a crazy sweet tooth. I struggle with that every single day, and I love to snack, and I love sugary shit. So because of that, dieting is my hardest part. Working out, that's easy. I can show up and work out every single day, especially if I'm eating junk food, because then my pumps are just way, way bigger, and I can move a lot more weight. But never going to look good doing it. And overall, sure, you're going to get strong, you're going to put on some muscle, but you're always going to be chunky. So if you're chunky, you know, unless you're trying to be a power lifter, and in that case, it's going to be beneficial for you to a point. You don't want to put in all that work and not be able to show off your progress. So that's another way to look at it is, you know, freaking, if you're sitting here and you lose a bunch of weight, but you always keep a coat on, like, there's no real reason for that progress if you can't be happy about where you're getting to. Sure, I'm still, you know, not where I want to be, but I'm way more comfortable now than I was 99 days ago. So, not only that, I sleep better by quite a bit. My energy levels a lot more consistent straight through the day. It's a lot easier for me to focus now, especially with the fact that I'm doing my certified personal training courses through NASM. The ability to be able to sit down and actually take in the content is becoming easier again as I'm taking these little bad effects out of my life. So those extra excess carbs and that sugar rush and crash, you know, those things destroy your mental. It's hard to focus on things. It creates a lot of anxiety. Your mood swings end up all crazy. It can lead to a bunch of depression and everything else from just eating too many carbs. I'm not saying you have to go 0 carb. I don't go 0 carb. But it can lead to a bunch of weird adverse mental effects if you're having a bunch of processed sugar all the time or just processed junk food. So keep that in mind. Little baby steps add up. If you start today, when the New Year's comes around, you're going to look like a totally different person. And then if you start on New Year's, by the time June, July roll around, you'll look like a totally different person. Are you going to be as far as you could be if you started today? No. But you're still going to make progress as long as you stay to it. And then by the time next New Year's rolls around, you'll be probably around where you want to be. For most people, it'll take 6 to 12 months to achieve the physique that they want to achieve for the most part, unless their expectations are just astronomically further than what their work ethic or physical ability can put in. So it's and remember, the average person doesn't even work out. So if you're part of that 10% that works out, way to go, you guys are crushing it. Because without that, I mean, just up 10%, you're already in the top 10% of what physical fitness is going to look like as long as you're consistent to it after like 6 to 12 months. So you're going to look better than 90% of the population, especially here in the States, because fortunately the statistic says we're all obese and overweight and out of shape, which I am, and that's what I'm changing. So we can only control ourselves and how we're going to present ourselves. So those little baby steps is what gets us there. But anyways, I'm going to hit my next 2 sets of this, and then we'll go ahead and move on to side delts. Now that we're moving into side delts, we're going to go ahead and do leaning cable raises, and we've been doing these at 20 pounds on the weight stack, which is kind of heavy for me. Preferably, I'd like to be doing these at like 15 pounds, but my stack doesn't do that, unfortunately. So, and 15-pound dumbbells isn't quite the same. Like dumbbell-wise, I can do this with like 30 pounds, but on the cable rack, 20 pounds is heavy. So, it's just the way the tension works for this. So, but let's go ahead and get this going. Oh. Whew. Man, 3 sets of these. Brutal. One more. Oh. Woo. All right. Doing the next 2 sets of those. Gonna suck. Definitely gonna take me a little bit. I'm gonna have to take slightly larger rest periods between those to make sure I can get through my 10 reps, or have to pause in the sets and circle them out for 1 rep at a time. But I'll get my next 2 sets done, and then we'll go ahead and we'll move into upright rows. So we're done with our leaning cable side raises. Now it's time to go ahead and move on to barbell upright rows. We've got 115 pounds on here, accounted for the 5-pound bar since it's on the Smith machine. So let's go ahead and get these things knocked out. This is for 3 sets of 8. So we're loading these up a little heavier, but taking our reps down. So this is more of our compound lift for the day. Man, oh man, those definitely a bit heavy, but we're gonna go ahead and get through them. Got 2 more sets of 8. Could really feel the side of the delt here just really contracting to get those things up. But when you are doing these, make sure you're not like kind of like rowing and twisting your arms up too much. It will put a lot of load in your elbows. So make sure you're trying to stay here to here. I am a little guilty of that rotation and trying to like almost curl the weight sideways. So over time, especially as the weight gets heavier, that will lead to elbow pain, elbow tension, things like that, at least for me and in my experience. So, and these do have a very high injury risk factor to them. Oddly enough, like it's a very simple movement, but if your arms are too far back and you're trying to do them like straight up like this, you'll destroy your rotator cuffs. So you got to make sure you have your arms slightly forward, so it's allowing your arm to go through flexion and not pinch all the rotator cuff and the tendons and everything inside of there, because you don't want shoulder pain. So if it feels uncomfortable, do not do these. A lot of people have shoulder mobility issues, and if you do, this is definitely not a movement for you. I have some mobility issues, but not inside of this range of movement. For me, it's more the overhead press. That becomes a big problem because I can't rotate my arms far enough back to comfortably press that weight. And that's kind of why I took the military presses out, because it wasn't that anything was hurting yet or felt uncomfortable, but it definitely doesn't have the most, I guess, fluid feeling to the movement for me currently. So I've been working on stretching, getting my arms to loosen up, shoulders to loosen up. So eventually those will come back, but as of right now, don't need to do them any, especially because it's kind of more of a front delt movement, in my opinion. You're going to get a lot more engagement there than you are with the side delt. So just keep that in mind. Certain movements, you know, if it just doesn't feel very smooth, very fluid, there's probably some sort of mobility issue going on, or you're just performing the exercise incorrectly. So make sure, you know, if something feels weird and you're at a gym, go grab a trainer, ask someone there, and you know, get a correct aspect of how to actually perform in it. Obviously there's Google, YouTube, you know, you'll find very good information for just about everything there. Some of it's baloney, you gotta watch out for it, but when you're performing an exercise, most of that stuff is pretty accurate. I'd say 75 to 80% of it is gonna be accurate and good information on how to perform an exercise. Now it may not always give you the best exercise to be doing, but they're normally at least instructing the correct way to do it. Now, as for anything beyond that, like reps and sets and nutrition and all that stuff, I'd say only about 30% of the stuff on there is going to ever be like accurate or pertain to you. So that's something to take with a grain of salt when you're looking into that type of information. So best thing is always to look for a professional, more or less, at least someone that is referenced and experienced in the field. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock out my next 2 sets of these, and that'll finish up lateral delts, and then we'll go ahead and go on to our single front delt movement that we're gonna do, which is just a front raise. Today, probably gonna do them with the Easy Curl cable attachment, and we'll move on from there. We're on to front raises. These are for 3 sets, 8 to 10 at 40 pounds. Palms up variation with the Easy Curl bar. I like to do them, so if you put your arm out with your palm down and you feel your front delt, you can feel the muscle there, but if you take it and you rotate palms up, that internal rotation that the arm makes to come inwards stretches this front delt. So with that, you get a lot more stimulus and stress applied to the muscle. So it's a little technique that I learned quite a long time ago. And if you're struggling with some front delt development, that will make it. Oh man, 40 pounds, excessively heavy. I'll be moving those back down to 30. So we got 9 reps there, but whew, that is, I'm either pretty fatigued by now, haven't really done much front delt movement though, so shouldn't be too fatigued unless it's just tired and worn out from yesterday's bench session, which very well could be. So with that, I'm gonna knock those down 10 pounds, and we'll just start doing those at 30 till they're comfortable again, and then we'll worry about moving up. But that, I'm gonna knock out 2 more sets of that, then we'll come back and we'll do some cable crunches today. Start getting the ab work back in, and then we'll go ahead and get on out of here. Into cable crunches now, getting our core work done, or should I say getting back to our core work. So we got 80 pounds on the pin. We're going to go ahead and hit these for 3 or 4 sets of 10 to 15 reps, nothing too crazy. And then we'll start working these up to probably like 20 and 25 rep sets for 4 sets. So, with that, I'll knock out 2 more sets at 15 today. And then we'll start working on, so that'll bring us to 45 reps. So then tomorrow we'll do 4 sets, but at, say, 12 reps. That'll bring us to 48. And then we'll shoot for 13 reps. 14 reps, and we'll just start trying to add a rep a day until we get to 4x25 on these. So we do want to start getting some more ab activation in, and a lot more, I guess per se, like spinal stretch, which obviously doing a crunch and a sit-up is going to stretch and lengthen your spinal erectors and all of your other back muscles throughout that movement, while engaging more of your core, well, your abdomen, I should say, and obliques, which overall will build more core strength, because your core is technically your abs, your obliques, your spinal erectors, your lumbar muscles, and like your hip flexors. So everything inside of like the lumbar, abs, and upper hip region is considered your core. So, with that, a little bit of knowledge, and we'll talk about consistency and how we're going to progress a little bit more, and our little dog rant. We will move on for today. I've got 2 more sets of this. I'll go knock out my bike ride for this evening's cardio, and then I got to eat and do some more studying tonight. So with that, make sure you guys are out there getting your work done, you're working toward your goals, and most of all, don't be a lazy fuck.